Okay, I think we ought to go ahead and get started. Tonight, we have as our technical expert and technical producer, Ben Naylor. So welcome, Ben. Ben's going to be helping us out tonight.
Hello.
Does anybody have any questions before we get started? Anything that you want to talk about before we jump into some more licensing material? Okay, so no hands are going up, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and do our first slide, please, Ben. Okay, here we go. Cool. The sales agent license application requires licensing fees, including a fee for what? A, the Association of Realtors. B, the Department of Commerce Employee Trust. C, Errors and Emissions Insurance. Or D, Education Research and Recovery Fund. And the correct answer is D, Education Research and Recovery Fund. We have this fund set up. We did it a number of years ago. Man, just going way back. Geez, even into the 80s. What it is a fund that will reimburse disadvantaged consumers. Now they have to go through the whole legal process and get a judgment against an agent who did them wrong. And then they have to prove that the agent can't pay the money, and then they can tap the recovery fund. And there's some limits on how much they can tap, and there's some limits on how much the recovery fund will pay out per licensee as well. But the Association of Realtors, you know, amongst the uninitiated, there's quite a bit of confusion on who the Division of Real Estate is and who the Association of Realtors is. And realtors is a private trademarked term. That's why it's in all caps here. And it is a trademarked term for the National Association of Realtors, which is our club. It's a private organization. You're not required to join it to have a license to sell real estate in Utah. Licenses to sell real estate in Utah are issued by the state and through the Department of Commerce, the Division of Real Estate. So one is totally governmental, and the other, the Association of Realtors, is just our club. Now, most people join the club because they want an MLS key, which today, you know, we just put that key in our smartphones. It's pretty cool. It's an app on your smartphone. And you need that key to access to show houses that have that type of lockbox on it. And you get access to the MLS. So, and that's been litigated and hotly contested for years because there's a lot of folks that don't want to join the Association of Realtors, but yet still want to have access to the MLS. And so they've held on to it for years, and I don't know, I don't know how much longer they can do it or if they will do it, but it could come to a situation someday, but it's not that way now, where in order to have access to the MLS, you have to join the board. That's why most people join. Let's go to number 2. E&O insurance, by the way, was answer C. E&O insurance is something most brokers have that cover mistakes that agents might make. It doesn't cover fraud that they might do, but it definitely covers mistakes. And it's a good question to ask a broker when you're going to go to work for them. Hey, do you have E&O insurance? Because some brokerages are actually self-insured. They figure, E&O insurance is so expensive, I can just put that money in a fund and I can self-insure, and you can do that if you want to in Utah, but it might make more sense for you to work for a broker that actually has straight E&O insurance, because you might need that coverage. I don't know. Don't screw up. Okay, number 2. If a real estate agent is convicted of theft or false statements, what must they do? Now, the key here is that word convicted. In other words, they were charged with a crime and now they've been found guilty. Now that they're found guilty, what must they do? They have to notify the division they've been found guilty, okay? They don't have to cease to practice real estate. What will happen is if you've been convicted of theft or you've been convicted of making false statements, like trying to embezzle money or whatever you're trying to do, that's going to get to the commissioners. There's going to be a hearing and you're probably going to lose your license. You might be put on probation, but if it's something serious, you're probably going to lose your license. And then you can't do real estate anymore. So, just because you've been convicted of something doesn't mean you've lost your license. That there's a process that must be gone through in order for you to do that. Okay. So you don't have to cease your practice of real estate. Yeah, changing your brokerage company won't change anything. You're still going to have to tell the commission what happened. And refund commissions on your last transaction. That's going to be tough because you've already spent them. You already spent it. Okay. Yeah. In our business, man, it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. You can make 150, 250 grand a year, and at the end of the year have nothing if you're not careful. Okay. Number 3, a sales agent requests that their a sales agent represents their principal broker. An associate broker, what do? Is it A, now only represents themselves? No, not if you're an associate broker. If you were a principal broker, you could represent yourself, I guess, if you wanted to. B, now represents a sales agent. No. There are 2 types of licenses. There's a sales agent license and there's a broker license. Broker license could be activated as a principal broker, meaning you're the head kahuna, you're the one in charge, or you could be an associate broker. So C is the correct answer. You still represent the principal broker. D, still must act as a limited agent. Okay, no, that's ridiculous. Okay, you still work for the principal broker. You have the same status as a sales agent, pretty much, except that you do have some other opportunities. You could become a branch manager, and that might be something you might be interested in doing. You could also quit that principal broker and start your own firm immediately because you already have a broker's license. You just change it from associate broker to principal broker. This is becoming less and less necessary. Personally, I believe you ought to get a broker's license as quickly as you can. The fastest you could get one in our state in Utah is 3 years, and you have to accumulate a number of points, which we'll allude to a little bit later. For your test, you need to have a basic familiarization with those points. How many points do you need, and how many points do you get for a sale? How many points do you get for a lease? And that sort of thing. You should have a little bit of familiarization with that. How much of a sale, how many points you get for the sale of a vacant parcel or a lot sale. And so, you need to know that for the test. Okay. But I think you ought to get a broker's license anyway. It's just a natural progression in the business. And it's just, and we could use the tuition. Just kidding. Number 4, in order to get experience points for a broker application, a sales agent can do what? A, help other agents find listings. D, design advertising. You don't need a license for that. Technically, you might not even need a license to help sales agents find listings, depending on how you're doing it. You can't go out and solicit without a license. So, but you could design advertisements and things. C, make cold calls. You think you're going to get points for that? Nope, you're not going to get points for any of those first 3. The only thing you're going to get a point for on this list is you're going to get points for selling a house. So you list a house, somebody else sells it, you get points, they get points. You work on a team, you list a house, you get partial points. You list that house, you're not on a team, and you sell it yourself, you get double points because you get points for both sides. And you can accumulate the points in 3 years to get a broker's license. It's not hard to do. You need to be actively engaged in the business, but I think it's something you ought to consider doing because it just gives you more chutzpah. Let's look at number 5. An associate broker is A, supervised exactly as a regular sales agent is. Now that one sounds warm and fuzzy. Hang on to that one. B, is able to work independently without a principal broker. Nope. C, not require to renew their license. No way. You know, the state loves those license fees, and they're going to want to have them coming in every 2 years in perpetuity. D, higher than a principal broker. No, you're not higher than a principal broker. You're a broker, but you're an associate broker, which means you're not responsible for a firm. You have pretty much the same status as a sales agent. Okay, but you do have the broker's license. It's a good thing to do. Kelbessa, welcome. Nice to have you here. Okay, let's look at number 6.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Which of the following is legal to use, the legal use of a P.O. box for real estate agents? Your home address on the division records. No. The division wants to know where you really are. The mailing address on division records. Okay. The last known address on division records. Well, his last known address. No, brokerage address on division records. Okay. Obviously, guys, it's B, the mailing address on division records. Now, why? Well, these records can be bought. They're public records, and you can go down to the company that handles the records for the division, and you can buy you can buy the whole license list of all I think it's about is it 40,000 now? Ben, do you have any idea? I don't know. I think it might be a little, yeah, it's about around, I think it's around there. Okay. Maybe a little less. Yeah. Anyway, they have to know your mailing address because they want to be able to require you to come in for a hearing if you've done something wrong. They need to know where you are. But for the public, if someone's buying these records, you may not want them to have your exact physical address. So you can put you can get a P.O. box, and you can request that division only publish that, although the division does know where your physical address is. Okay. You know, so it's kind of interesting. A lot of the ladies in our business go to these photo shoots, and they put these glamour shots on their business cards and in their ads and stuff, you know, and it's I don't know, it might attract the wrong kind of attention. So, you know, putting your personal address on something may not be a real good idea. Number 7, a licensee must notify the division of real estate of any license status change within how many days? Folks, this is always on the test. Did you say 10? Yes, you did. Yeah, give yourself a pat on the back. It is 10. It's not 5, not 15, not 20. It's 10. 10 days if you change your name, either get married, divorced, or just, heck, got tired of your name, you changed it. I mean, do you think my name is really Rick Roller? You know, just teasing. It really is. But okay. But you can also change your address. You can change, you know, a lot of different things. And so you got to let the division know. If you get well, like that, a licensee on number 1, well, number 2, or yeah, that was convicted of something, he has to let them know within 10 days. 10 days is the number, guys. Okay, questions on anything so far? Okay. If a real estate license expires, okay, now they used to expire in your birth month. They don't do that anymore. They expire in the month you got it. So for those of you that are testing in September, let's say you license late September, or maybe you license the 1st of October, your expiration month is always going to be the month of October, and it will be the last day of October. Okay. And so you have to renew your license every 2 years. and there's some requirements, I mean, you have to get fingerprinted, when you first get your license, but even on renewals now, well, I guess once you're in the system. I know that there's a whole lot of things going on right now with existing agents where we have to run down and get fingerprinted again because they want to make sure that, we haven't been doing nasty things in other states or even our own state. But if you fail to renew, you can renew with only a late fee, and it's about $50. But that's only during the first 30 days. If you go past the 30 days, so let's say it was due at the end of October and you passed November, now you're in December, and all of a sudden you realize your license had expired a couple of months ago. You could still renew your license up to 6 months, but you're going to have to pay some additional late fees, and you're going to have to pay, you're going to have to have additional CE credit, preferably in Utah law. I think they ask for, because, you don't know the laws well enough that you let your license expire. Don't want to do that. Okay. Okay, number 8. What? Go ahead.
Sounds like the new Ratback requirement that they're throwing out there. So these guys are going to have to pay a $40 fee on top of it, which adds into the $152 they pay in the state. So
so you don't want to do that. What you want to do is you want to renew your license. They can, about 3 to 4 weeks before it expires, they'll start accepting those renewals. But renew it in the month of October, not at the last part of it, And for heaven's sakes, get your CE credit done early, especially for you brand new guys, because you have to take the 12-hour new agent class, and which is the subject of our next question. Let's look at number 9, okay? On a real estate first renewal, they must have completed the 12-hour new agent course. So the correct answer to this is D. Now, that's going to take a day and a half because, they only like you to do 8 hours of education in one particular day. And especially this class. So I teach these live. And so I'll do one whole day. We start at 9, we got around 5:30 or something. And so it's all day. And that gives you your first 8 hours, and you come back the next morning, and then we finish it up. And there's about, I think about 12 of us now teaching this class for the state of Utah that have been approved for it. You have to have special approval, but I think you ought to come to my class. I usually do it once a month. I'm going to be doing one next month in October, I think the 13th and 14th. I'll be doing that one in Cedar City. And but usually I do one every month. Just get a hold of me and see where I'm at. I usually do them at a mortgage brokerage company in near Jordan Commons. So it's easy to get to. I don't charge for it. It's free. And you get a lot of goodies when you come. And the thing that's different about mine is I cover everything you're supposed to cover, but I cover it from a newbie's perspective. In other words, you'll get a lot of practical application of how to be successful in the business. So the other thing I would suggest, whether you take it from me or anybody, it really doesn't matter to me, obviously, but I think it would matter a lot to you. But I suggest you take it early on. After 2 years, you're going to figure a lot of things out that you should have known from the beginning just by making mistakes, and having to redo things and going through a lot of frustration and panic and worry. Why not take the new agent class in your first month or so, get it out of the way? That's 12 hours. You need 18 hours to renew your license. In fact, if you come to my class, a lot of times, I won't be doing it in Iron County, but usually when I do it in Salt Lake, if you want to stay the afternoon of the second day, so you'd spend 2 full days, I do the 3-hour residential mandatory class. So that would give you 15 hours. And those 2 classes are required for your first renewal. So anything else you take, which could be an elective or whatever, because those 2 are all core. When you renew on your 18 hours, at least half of it has to be core. As a matter of fact, when you join the board of realtors, you'll be going through an ethics class. That's 3 hours. and a board orientation class. So if you join a board and you go through those orientation and ethics classes, and then you come to these 2 classes, you're done. You don't need it. You don't need any more. So I would suggest you just get it out of the way your first month or 2. Okay.
Which I just add, the moment you have your license, you're allowed to get continuing education. So
Yeah.
once you've finished applying and they've told you you have your real estate license, it's counted after that. So if you get that before this date, I forget what the date was, Rick, but it counts after that.
Yeah.
So if you have your license before he teaches his course and you show up to the course,
my
that
course
counts for your 2-year.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you want to run all the way down to, Cedar City for my one in October, but, but I usually do them every month. Just keep, you guys all have my phone number. Just call me. We'll figure that out. But we do a lot of practical things in my class, which help you get listings and help you get going. Number 10.
I was mostly just saying that once they get their license, any continuing education after that is going to count.
Is going to count, right? Yeah, just make sure that you get your certificate and make sure that you get credit banked. And the way you check that is you go online with the division, and we have a software on the division called Realms, RELMS, and Realms. When you first go onto it, you gotta choose a login and a password, and then keep track of that. And then whenever you go back, you can check to see if you got CE banked. What people are finding out, and what we constantly warn people, is that we credit bank through Pearson VUE, which is back east. And as a school, we get on our computers and then we credit bank with their master computer back east. Okay. But it can take up to 10, 12, sometimes 14 days before Pearson VUE actually gets that all analyzed and booked. And then they notify the division. They update the division's website so that the division knows that you've taken the required classes. So what happens is, if you wait to the last minute to get your license, if you take a CE class after the 15th, let's say you were trying to get in on that October deadline, and you took the class on 16th, 17th of October, it may not get credit banked. So what happens is you're going to pay the fine, because your license is going to expire. And then finally, let's say around November 10th or whatever, it shows up in your credit banking. And sure, yeah, you took the class in time, but the division is kind of unforgiving on this stuff. They want you to plan ahead. You had 24 months in order to get it done, and or at least 23 and a half months anyway. So you really need to get it done and be responsible for that. Number 10, a real estate license is not required to do what? Sell timeshare, negotiate home prices, prospect, receive a commission for a home sale. B, C, and D all require a license. Timeshares is a special category. And many years ago, when you sold timeshare in the state of Utah, you had to have a real estate license. And then they decided that timeshare was different enough from regular home sales that they didn't really need to get a license. They just had to register. And so they pay a $50 fee, I believe, and that's, and then they are one, and they don't have to take a test. So it's a little easier for them to get into selling timeshares now. But what happens in a lot of timeshare type organizations, however, is that they're selling partial interest. So you're not just buying a week timeshare, or you're not just buying points in a timeshare system. You're actually buying whole ownership in the unit, or you're buying half or a quarter share. So you own it 3 months out of the year, or you own it 6 months out of the year, or you own it the entire year. Well, that looks a whole lot like real estate, and it is. So if you're selling timeshares, you don't need a license. But if you're selling these partial interest, which usually end up being tenants in common agreements, or what we call TICs, TIC, for tenant in common, then you do need a license. So a lot of timeshares people do get licensed anyway, just so they can sell those partial interest.
What
Okay.
about prospects?
Pardon?
Prospects, we need more explanation about that.
I didn't.
What about C, prospect?
Oh, prospecting. Yeah. You can't go out and prospect to try to find business without a license. And in other words, we have call centers all over the state of Utah, that make phone calls, I mean, like the same people that call you to extend your car warranty, only that's just a robot. But anyway, a lot of people thought, well, I'll hire one of these, call centers to make calls. Say, hey, you want to sell your house? Want to sell your house? Want to sell your house? Can't do it unless every one of those callers has a license. So you cannot prospect for sales. You cannot list property. You cannot list buyers. You can't negotiate prices. You're not supposed to do a lot of things which would be construed as real estate sales activity without a license. And prospecting is definitely one of them. Great question. Thank you for asking. Who else has a question? Okay. Well, we've got kind of we have a couple of minutes left. I'd like to share a little story with you, if that's okay, about getting started in real estate. Okay. Recently, I helped a young lady get started in real estate, and she decided to do it the hard way. Now, there's a hard way and there's the easy way. Now, sometimes the hard way is required. I mean, it was for me, and I'll explain in just a moment. But the easy way is, while you're in real estate school right now, you need to make a list of all your friends and all your relatives. You need to get their emails. You need to get their addresses. You need to get their telephone numbers. And you need to get as much information about them as you can. Do they own now? And if they own a house now, what's it like? How many bedrooms, bathrooms? What's the style of home? Where is it? And that type of thing. Because you're creating a database. The easiest way to get started in real estate is to work that database. These people already know you. Many of them actually love you. And they'll support you from the beginning, even though they know that you're brand new. Now, and that's the easiest way to get started, is to work that database. Most brokers know that new people that they hire to come into their brokerage have a mother, an aunt, an uncle, a brother, a sister, a high school buddy, somebody that wants to buy or sell a house. So they'll pretty much hire anybody to come work at their brokerage, as long as you're not looking like you're going to screw up. And because they know they want to get those initial transactions. And you'll burn 2 or 3 or 4 transactions through that agent, and then they don't know how to prospect. And so that's why we have a lot of fallouts, because they're not working their list. So when I started in the business, I had a buyer that was waiting in the wings. He was my brother-in-law. Okay, his name was Steve, and bless his heart, he waited till I got a license. And the day I was licensed, we're out in my car looking at houses. And the second day, we found the house he wanted to buy, and I wrote it up, and I took it back to my office. My sales manager rewrote it. Yes, I didn't write it up so good. Anyway, he rewrote it. It's the first offer I'd ever written. Anyway, he rewrote it, and I took it back, had Steve re-sign it, took it to the seller, got him to sign it. House is under contract, okay? Now, that was really cool because I got my first sale, my first week. Thank you, Stephen. Stephen loved me. I was his brother-in-law. He knew I hadn't sold any homes before, but heck, how badly could I mess it up? I was licensed by the state of Colorado, right? Colorado said that's where I started. Colorado said I was good enough to sell houses. So that was pretty good. And we got the transaction done. It was a great transaction. Now, the problem I had was that Steve and I had both moved to that community about 2 or 3 months before I got into the real estate business. And Stephen was the only person I knew in town. That's it. I had no other relatives around and whatnot at that time. So I had to go out and find other sources to survive in the business. But I was smart enough to still work my database. Now, you guys tell me, because some of you have heard part of the story. What was the question I asked Stephen? It's not hard. Stephen, who do you know that might also want to buy or sell a home? Okay. Now, this is asking for a referral. A lot of agents think that, well, I can't ask for a referral until the deal's closed. Well, why? The best time to ask for a referral from a buyer or seller you're working for is when they're happy. And when he got that under contract, he was ecstatic. Heck, if you wait till the closing, which takes 2 or 3 weeks later, they may not be happy. So you don't want to ask for referral in. Ask for referral anytime they're happy. You can ask them 3 or 4 times if they're real happy people. But when they're happy, ask them for a referral. So I asked Stephen, do you know of anybody else? He said, well, yeah, there's this guy I know at church. He said last Sunday that he might be selling his house. Oh, let's get him on the phone. Steve called him up, handed the phone to me. Yeah, this is Rick. I'm Steve's brother-in-law. Oh, yeah, he's so excited. He just found a house in your area. He's going to be moving in, and he's real excited, and I'm excited. He said you might be selling your house. Oh, you are? Great. Well, when can we get together? Tonight? Super. So I went over and I listed their house. So my first sale, my first listing, my first week was because of Steve. And that is not an unusual story. That will be your story if you work on that stupid database. Now, I was rookie of the year in my board in Colorado. I did 58 to 59 transactions my first year. Okay. I worked really hard because I was really hungry and I was scared to death. I didn't know what else to do. So I worked real hard. But my point is, I've helped a lot of other agents achieve high sales goals. And I'm more proud of the fact that I've developed 8 other rookie of the years besides just myself by mentoring other students and helping them. And I've helped hundreds of other agents win top awards in their companies all across America. And it's that's what I take most that's where my passion is today, is helping people get started. But I want to tell you that on many of these people that I have mentored over the years, they never put that database together. They've been in the business 2, 3, 4 years now, and they still don't have that database. And I'm telling you, at the current price point that we are in Utah today, if you don't do that database, for heaven's sakes, you may not make it. Worse, if you don't do the database and you still make it because you gut it out like I had to, okay, you're probably giving up $50,000 to $75,000 in commissions. Hey, on a $400,000 house, a 3% commission is $12,000, guys. $500,000, $15,000. I like $20,000 checks, and you will like them too. Okay, but it's going to be a lot easier for you to get those checks from people that already know and love you, or people that have had other business with you. Well, I don't have a lot of friends, but I have, but I was a teacher, and I know lots of other teachers and school board members and parents and students. There's your database. Get in and get that information. Now, 2 rules, write these down. 2 rules of running a database, okay? Well, 3 actually. But the first rule is everyone in your database needs to get something from you in the mail every 30 days. Email's okay. So in the mail, snail mail or mail, every 30 days, they need to get something from you. It could just be an update. It could be a solicitation on another house. It could be a lot of things. But they need to get something from you in the mail every 30 days. Also, every 90 days, they need to have a voice contact with you. Now, my database today, a lot of it is family people, and we have large families. And so whenever I go to weddings and funerals and whatnot, I'll see someone and I'll talk. Now, if the conversation doesn't include real estate, something about real estate, you can't count that as a contact. But if I bring up real estate, or usually they do, hey man, I guess the market's crazy right now. Yeah, let me tell you about a deal I just happened last week and blah, blah, blah. That counts as a contact. So you need to keep track of this. You need a relationship manager. You need a customer relationship management program. A lot of them out there. Many of them are free. But you need a database because you need to keep track of your contacts so that you know this week I need to send out, you know, this many mailers, and then I need to make this many phone calls. Okay. So now the third rule is, once you get up and going, you don't want to run your own database. You want to hire someone else to do it. Okay. Because it just takes a lot of updating. They send out the mailers, and they send you a call list every day and say, here's the 10 people, 12 people I want you to call today, or, you know, that you told me to tell you wanted to call today. And here's their names and phone numbers. And, you know, it really works. Now, why do you want to know what kind of house they live in? Okay. Let me tell you, you pick up a new buyer, and the buyer says, I'm looking for a house like this and this and this, and it's in something that should be in this area. The first database you query is your own database to see if you know someone in your database that has a house that's similar to the one that your buyer's looking for. Your buyer's going to think that's great because, you know, I have 800 people in my database. First thing I do is I will query the database tonight and find out if there's anyone that I currently have done business with or know that has a house that's similar to what you're looking for. And then I will send it out, and you never know. We may be able to find you a house, take you right over and see it. Nobody else even knows it's on the market, and you can eliminate a lot of competition to getting that house in a hot market like this. Okay. So you send them a letter, you know, dear Susan and Tom, you know, you may not be thinking about selling right now, but I picked up a new buyer this week. His name is so-and-so. They're from Boise. They're moving here. They've got their house sold. They are looking for a house a lot like the one that you're living in. And so I was, you know, are you still in, is there any possibility you might be thinking about selling? Man, I can't believe you called, Rick. You know, Tom just got a notice of a transfer. We're going to be moving to Arizona, you know, with the, you know, big new promotion with the company. We're all excited about it. We were just talking about, you know, who would we call to put it on the market. See, you need to keep in touch with these people because they forget you. This is, you know, the National Association of Realtors have done study after study, and they have found that 80 to 85%, sometimes even 90% when you do the study, said that, yes, I would do business with the same agent that just helped me again. But rarely do they. It's only like 10 or 15, 20% that do business with that agent again. Why? Because the agents drop the ball and never, ever contact them ever again. Is that stupid or what? So you build this database. I told you 800 because if you have 800 in your database, then you can plan on making about $150,000 a year just out of your database, just by managing that. And remember, when you get to the point where you can afford it, you want to hire someone else to do this. Now, this person could be someone you've conscripted from your own household. 14 and 15-year-olds make great database managers. Okay. If they're somewhat organized and somewhat mature. If you don't have kids that you can conscript into doing that job, then I would suggest you get offshore help, primarily from someone from the Philippines, because they work out the best. I had a gal in the Philippines that was doing 1,000 posts a month for me on my YouTube channel for $85 a month. Now it was the same post. It wasn't original post, but you know, but it's so it's you know, you want to be successful in this business and treat it like a business. If you don't treat it like a business, then it's going to be really hit and miss. You'll have high income months, and you'll have nothing. And then you'll have high income months and then nothing, and high income months and then nothing. And you won't have the consistency you need to build the foundation you need to establish a legacy for your family. I don't know of another business or opportunity that can put you in a situation where you're making numbers every year with lots of zeros behind it. You're buying investment properties, you're owning your own house, you're driving nice cars, you're going on foreign vacations, you're having a great life, but you've got to treat it like a business. You want to make 200-300 grand a year, you want to make 150 a year, you've got to treat it like a business. And I've got a planning guide. I offered it about a month or so ago to the students, and only had one person call me to pick me up on it. But it's some video training and a little software program. I'd be happy to comp any of you that call me. And it tells you, you analyze your business, and I can walk you through it, or you can watch the video. If you're confused, I'll help you walk you through it. But it's a planning guide that tells you how many listings and how many sales you have to get in a year in order to make the money you want to make. Also tells you how many contacts you have to make in order to get a listing, how many listing presentations you have to make in order to get a listing, and whatnot. So you just plan your work. If you have a plan, you stick to the plan, you're going to be in good shape. Okay. But I've told that story before. It gets more involved as I had to branch out and work with other people that weren't, that I didn't know. But I found out there's lots of sources of business. My next best source besides Stephen was houses that were vacant. You cruise around a neighborhood, you see tall weeds in a yard. Don't drive by that house. Stop. Write down the address. Kind of draw a little map. So, okay, it's the third one from the corner. Then get online, pick up that plat map through the MLS, or you can go by your favorite title company. I like showing up about 11:30 because that's when they will take you out to lunch with them. Just teasing. But I think you want to figure out, you want to find out who owns that house. Then you need to contact them, say, hey, I drove by, saw your house is vacant. Are you interested in selling it, renting it? Maybe I can help you find a tenant, or maybe I can help you get it sold. This is a great market to sell in. Okay. Another really good source right now of listing leads and sellers is to work for rent by owner. So it's not for rent by a property management company, but it's for rent by an owner. So they're renting their own house. And so you call them, you say, hi, I see you have an ad for rent. I'm not a potential tenant. I'm a real estate agent. I'm wondering if you might want to sell that. It might be a great time to sell that rental. Well, I've been thinking about that. How much do you think I could get for it? Well, let me go by and take a look at it, and then let's get together and talk about it. You need to constantly be looking for people that have a need. It's not that people don't like real estate people. They like us. We're gregarious. We're fun. We usually, smell okay. We have newer cars. I mean, we're nice people. Okay. It's just that they don't need your services right now. At any particular time, there's only going to be 10, 12% of the market that's thinking about moving. Well, that means like 88 or 90% of the people out there don't want to talk to you right now, unless they're thinking about buying an investment or something. But that's, so what I'm saying is you need to target different categories of individuals that there's a higher probability that they might want to buy or sell. Okay, makes sense? And so you could figure out what those are, and then work the heck out of them. But you need a plan. So call me if you want that planning thing. I'm happy to give it to you. Used to be part of my mentoring program that people paid several $1,000s to have, but I'll give it to you for free, just because. Well, appreciate the opportunity to be with you tonight. Does anyone have any other questions that they thought of while I've just been wandering on here about trying to encourage you to hit the bricks running? If you get that put together now, you cannot solicit it without a license. Remember, you can't prospect without a license. You can tell people in your Facebook and stuff that, hey, I'm in real estate school. And don't say anything like, hey, I'd love to have your business once I get a license. That's not legal. But you could say, hey, I'm in real estate school, and today I learned about different kinds of deeds that we have in Utah. Did you know there's 3 different types of ways that you can actually own property in Utah? And you can get those from 4 different kinds of deeds. It's fascinating. One way is like this, another way is like this, another way is like that. And each have their own little purpose. Boy, I was really fascinated to learn that. It's an exciting thing I learned today in real estate school, because that's all you're doing. You're sharing what you learned in school. Okay, you didn't ask for their business. Close to the line, but it doesn't cross it. If you add something like, and when I get licensed, I want your business, that's illegal. So wait till you get licensed and then start hitting all those people with something. And I've heard all kinds of excuses. Oh, I wanted to get some experience before I, okay. Well, if you're going to screw up, I'd rather screw up with your brother or sister, because they'll forgive you. And most screw ups you could fix. Okay. I don't know. Got to treat it like a business. You got to talk to lots of people. Well, I'd rather work with strangers. Okay, fine. Work with strangers, give up about $100,000 a year. That's why 4 houses. Yeah, go ahead.
I've got 2 questions. The first question is, are you taking a list of names for that program that you were just talking about?
What, the new agent class?
No, the one you were just talking about, the
Mentoring?
yeah, mentoring.
I really don't do that anymore. I just give you all the stuff in my other classes.
Oh.
I'm limited on time now, more than I ever have been, and that's just going to get more limited as time goes on.
So what's this program that you were just talking about that nobody's taking you up on it?
Oh, well, it's a software program that helps you plan your business. Okay, I want to make $85,000 this my first year in the business. Okay, how are you going to make that? How much of it is going to come from listings? How much is it going to come from working with buyers? Okay, where are you going to get those listings? Where are you going to get those buyers? How many listing presentations do you have to do in order to get one listing? In the beginning, it's going to be 1 out of 3. You're going to have to do 3 presentations to get one listing. Now, if you're working your relatives, it's probably going to be 100%. Okay. That's one of the reasons why I want you to build that database. But then it goes into what types of activities do I need to be doing each day, and how do I plan each week? You know what the first thing most agents do when they get up in the morning is? The first thing that a real estate agent does when he gets up in the morning? He goes to lunch. Now, is that insane or what? Man, I'm up by 5:30, 6 o'clock every day, planning and putting stuff together, and doing all kinds of things. Come on, guys, treat it like a business. I'm my own boss. I don't have to get up till I want. That'll be about 11:30. Then I'll go to lunch, and then I'll, wander in the office, see what everybody else is doing. Well, that's an agent that's not going to be around long. Okay, so what this does, it's a planning guide. That's all it is. It's just a software program, and you can have it for free. Just let me know.
How do we request it?
You can send an email to Rick@Rickroller.com, Rick@Rickroller.com, and say, hey, I want that software thing you were talking about for free, and I'll send you one. It's real easy. Or call.
That software is totally straight through Rick, so just contact Rick.
Yeah, you just get it through me. Dan usually throws up my information, but Dan's not here tonight, so Dan.
I can throw up your information if you'd like.
That's fine.
It's the same thing.
Yep, same thing. So, it's just, if you go to rickroller.com, there's a lot of free stuff. I've got digital copies, both audio and text, of my best-selling book called Limitless. I don't think I have one around here right now. I gave them all away. Okay, but that's a book on how to overcome self-defeating behaviors. You know, but you can get a free copy of that by just requesting it, just downloading it. All kinds of stuff, you know, that I put on there that help people get going. You know,
Hey,
Dan and I are real. Dan has what I consider to be the very best school in the state of Utah. Why? He keeps everything updated. And he knows what to update because he goes to all the commissioner meetings. He knows what the commissioners are thinking. He knows what their next month they're going to vote on this or that, and then they vote on it, and he knows when it goes into effect. And he keeps track of all that stuff, and he keeps all our material updated. You know, I was talking with a friend the other day that saw one of my videos on an instructional class that I did. That class was 10 years old. Another school is still using that old video. You know how many laws have changed since that happened? Incredible. Dan keeps everything updated. But not only that, Dan is always there for you guys, and so am I. You know, if any of the instructors at our school, you know, we will put in extra hours with you, helping you get through the test. And even after you're into business, if you need someone to talk to, or, you know, to bounce some ideas off of, hey, I was thinking about doing this. Do you have any ideas how I might accomplish that? And we probably do. It says, yeah, I've done that. And what I found was this, and this helped, or you might want to try this too. You know, and we're willing to do that for you guys. But you've got to reach out. We're not going to call you, hey, need any help today? You know, and I don't know. It's just something we're willing to do. People helped me when I got started, and I returned the favor.
I have another question, Rick.
Yes, Larry.
That is, who do you think out of all the brokerages in Utah have the best training program?
Well, as a real estate school, you know, we work with all kinds of agents that are referred in by all those companies. So we tend not to publicly come out and say, oh, well, this is crappy training and this is good training. You know, if you want to catch me individually, I have some pretty strong opinions. But I know the training is something that you're really keyed in on, but there's going to be all kinds of training available. And big firms have, you know, some of them have great training and some of them have mediocre training. Some firms, they say, oh, I have fantastic training, and here's my training schedule. And they show you a calendar, and it's all filled up with dates and people coming to talk. And most of them are vendors just trying to sell you on using them for home inspection, or using them for insurance, or using them for title work, or, you know, I mean, they're just trying to sell you something, you know, and that's okay. And then I know some of the bigger firms have trainers that, you know, that come into town, or they have some training videos, and they say, well, I want you to go into this class. It's going to take 3 months. It's going to cost you $480. And, you know, I mean, whatever, you know, I mean, so there's all kinds of different ways they do that. But here, as a representative of the school, you know, oh, they're all good. If you catch me when I'm not a representative of the school, I have some firm opinions about several of them. I had a young agent that's been dating my daughter, who got his very first listing, and it was his grandmother who had died, left the house to his father and a couple of his aunts. Okay, and so he listed that. It was a beautiful home in Holiday, great listing to have. He was holding it open. A buyer walked in, loved the house, wants to buy it, not represented by an agent, and he gets to write up both sides. And he goes to his broker and he says, well, how do I do this? He says, we'll just do limited agency. Well, you can't do limited agency in that situation because, you know, on the one hand, the sellers are related to you. They are your family. And you're supposed to represent this buyer with the same veracity and everything else as you represent your family. That's a blatant conflict of interest. What he should have done is write it up as an unrepresented buyer, you know, and it, you know, it's just so simple. But I don't know, you know, some brokers are extremely knowledgeable and valuable, and other brokers are stupid. But if that ever comes back to haunt them, he will probably pay a $5,000 fine and may even have his license put on probation or suspension. He could lose his license on his first deal. So I don't recommend that brokerage. So, you know, because the guy's stupid. Now, I told him, I said, don't just take my word for it. We have a legal helpline manned by attorneys, and you can call and they'll give you their opinion. So I saw him a few months later and I said, do you ever call? Nah, I just let sleeping dogs lie. Okay, fine. Okay. All right. Anyway, guys, appreciate you being with us tonight. Does anybody else have anybody else? What do you think? What do you think about brokerage? Just from Elsa to everyone. Oh, you're going to ask everyone else what they think about brokerages. Like I said, the first thing tonight, they'll all hire you. It's not like they're hiring you. I mean, they're not going to pay you anything. It's they're hiring you as a commissioned salesperson, and that's a lot different. You think you're there trying to impress them and get and say, oh my gosh, I got to get a job. You're not getting a job. You're getting an opportunity. They'll all hire you. So don't just go with the first one that says, oh man, I think you ought to come to work for me. Shop around, talk to some other agents, talk to some agents that are in the business. You don't know any, you know me, Dan. Okay, appreciate you guys. Thank you. Thank you, Ben, for being here and helping us. And you guys know how to get a hold of me, and appreciate you being in our school, and call anytime if I can help, especially on exam questions. Sometimes only takes a 3-minute phone call to get straightened out on something. Larry, thanks for your comments. It is the witching hour. Appreciate you guys. Take care.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Ben. Thanks, Elsa.
Have a good night. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.